Shalom, good morning, everyone. Ariel Tzadok here from the KosherTorah School, found online at KosherTorah.com, bringing you today's daily lesson in the Sefer Yetzirah, according to the commentary of Rabbi Chaim Vital, the redactor of the Great Ariel system. This is lesson 8 in our series. We are dedicating this series, of course, for the health and betterment and goodness and protection of all the people today during this crisis period, hoping everyone who is sick should have a complete and speedy recovery, and that everyone who's not sick will take the appropriate and proper precautions, God be willing, not to get sick. So, with that in mind, let's move in, because I got something very, very important to talk about. Is Rabbi Chaim now is going to describe to us or teach us the meaning of the words when it says in our text, and God created his world with what we call the 3 books. Well, what is this world that he created? I'm going to read to you what he says here, and then reveal to you a very profound secret about us as human beings, our destiny in our future, even to that which we'll call the Messianic times. So this is actually a very relevant and important message, especially for what's happening right now. So let me read. Uma she'amar, and that which is written, ubara et olamo, and he created his world. Hakavana b'chinat hitgadlut kli haza, hitgalut. It is the revelations of the vessels of Zeir Anpin. And I'll explain all this when we're done here. Baal Wak, who is made of 6 Sefirot, Hanikra Ola, which is called, of course, the world. Remember, the world was created in 6 days. These are the 6 Sefirot of Zeir Anpin. Bichlalot kochot olamot shnivru al yedei Z A. And this includes within it all the powers of all the worlds that are created within Z A. V'hu shoresh ve'av lekulan. And this Zeir Anpin is therefore called the father and the source of all our worlds. Ubekol makom shemaskir av stam, and every place where there's just the general mention of the word av or father, lebechinat nivraim, with regards, of course, to creation, the father of creation, etc. Hakavana al za. This is a reference to Zeir Anpin, not the Sefirot Chochmah, which is normally called Abba. Komo ki ata avinu, like when we pray and say, for you, God, our Father, our Heavenly Father, always a reference to Zeir Anpin. V'ken begamara, all right, ein aviv ela kadosh baruch hu, we have no father other than the Holy One, blessed be He. And he quotes here again the Raya Mehemna from the Zohar as well. All right. Mashinmar in imo ela Knesset Yisrael, and when we say we have no mother other than what's called Knesset Yisrael, that's the Malka Tata'a, the lower king, Malchut, Shekhinah, Mother Earth. You see in my writings and teachings talk about that all the time. Bara almat l'tata kigavna le'ela, the world below is created in accordance to the pattern of the world above. Okay, now let's talk about Sefirot and the Partsufim and stuff like that, because it's very, very important that we put all of this into a proper context. And I'm going to sum up to you a whole bunch of Ariel Kabbalah and help you understand it, I pray, as those of us have. Now, the big mistake people make when it comes to studying the Torah of the Ariel, Chaim Vital, the Otzrot Chaim, and all the rest of this stuff, is that they mistakenly believe that all of this talk about Sefirot and Sephirotic faces, Partsufim, and Olamot world is somewhere out there in the external world. And they try to make sense of how it all fits together mechanically. And I've seen, well, let me take a step back. In my day, when I was studying with Rebbe Meir Levi, Rav Kaduri, and all these other great holy men back in Yerushalayim in the early 1980s. Yeah, I'm dating myself. It was a different world of Kabbalah. We had a few books, the old stuff. And this was still within our little small circles. Since then, 40 years have passed. And Kabbalah now explodes all over the place. Everybody's got this and that. And I look at all of these commentaries that are written. Otzrot Hayim is one of Rabbi Haim's later books. And in our circles in Jerusalem, that was the text that we began all studies with. I've taught Otzrot Chaim on numerous occasions. I have courses on it available on our Kosher Torah website for those of you who are interested in really pursuing this matter. But when it comes to studying this material, most people, again, make the mistake of thinking it's external. The truth is that all of the revelations of Chaim Vital are speaking about revelations of the internal worlds of ourselves. Okay? Very few of our modern Mikubalim understood this. And therefore, many have always tried to explain this externally and then made it academic as opposed to internal and transformational. See, many people misunderstand Chaim Vital the man. This guy was an eclectic Kabbalist. Everyone likes to think today in very strict rules. He's of this school and that way. No, he wasn't. By modern terms, Chaim Vital, one of the greatest minds of the Kabbalistic world, was by modern terms a real weirdo. And he really was. This guy was out there in every which way you can possibly imagine. You should read some of his works that are even available in English, like his book of visions, Sefer Yetzirah. And he'll talk to you about some really in-depth, intense, weird stuff. My kind of guy. I love them. But when he gazed into the, in quote, spiritual realms, what he saw was that reflection of the divine image within himself, within us. He saw the image of the collective Adam, the collective man, which male and female, and remember we talked about that's not a Homo sapien sapien image, it's a higher image of the sentient life consciousness. From our human perception in this universe, we call it the small face of God. Zeir Anpin, made up of the 6 Sefirot, Hesed, Gevurah, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod. And we described this already in a previous class, about how it refers to higher and lower emotional planes, which are unconscious or subconscious and revealed emotional motivation, which leads to the performance of action. So Zeir Anpin is called the head of this reality. This reality, he is called our Father. Okay? Now, in Kabbalah speak, we have the upper triad of the Sefirot, the Keter, Chochmah, Bina. The Keter is called the long face of God, Ariel. Chochmah, intuition, wisdom, is called Abba, Father. It's not called Av, you'll notice. They use the Aramaic version, Abba. And intellect is also Bina, and that's called Ima, mom and dad. Well, mom and dad to Zeir Anpin. But now here's the point. Where do we find Keter Chochmah Bina in creation? Well, here's the issue. You see, a partsuf, a sephirotic face, is how we view the universe or perceive God, however you want to look at that. If and when you want to have a perception of the Shekhinah, Malchut, God in creation, we gaze upon nature, we contemplate nature, and we come to experience nature, the mother, our mother. These are the secrets of creation. When we gaze upon and contemplate these things, we will see the forms. We will have an emotional interaction with these forms. We will have an intellectual perception of these forms that comes to us through intuitive awareness to give us the essence. I just described to you the grades of going up the Sefirot, the 10 Sefirot of Malchut, how you perceive this physical world. Okay? When we want to go into inner or deeper consciousness, sentience, I was about to use the word humanity, right? But again, We tend to make the terrible mistake of thinking humanity is limited to our species. All right? You got to get beyond that limitation because there are multiple species. Hey, we know it here on Earth. Okay? Have you ever, for real, and I've shared this in my video on this coronavirus, and I said, this virus is alive. This virus is real. Like everything else, this virus even has its own malach. And if you want to understand the virus, talk to its malach. Talk to the soul, the life force, the consciousness and sentience in the corona and say, what are you? Why are you here? Etc. I talked about this in my other video. Go look for the information there. And I've seen now online, some of my peers are picking up on this and they're recognizing that this needs to be done. Everything in our universe, this universe, internal universe, the external universe we just described, Malchut, but the internal universe is Zeir Anpin, which is the 6 Sefirot. Well, that 6 Sefirot needs to be a complete whole, a concentric whole. And the way that we do this is what all the Sefer Ari'zal is all about to describe. How we take the 6 Sefirot of Z.A and make it 10. And we call this Kabbalat HaMochin, the reception of the brains. Okay, this is all Kabbalah speak, you know that. But we got to get realistic. What does it all mean? How do I put it into practice? This is the transformation and the elevation of the mind, the soul. Bringing what we call into us higher revelations, higher insights. Now, this is the whole purpose of our creation. Adam, remember, Adam in the Garden of Eden wasn't a single guy, it was all of collective humanity. And it says that we were created in an adolescent state, meaning that the original level of Adamic consciousness was at only this small face level. It only had the emotional component of the 6 Sefirot and was in need of elevating, evolving, maturing, growing up to receive the mochin, the brains, the intellect, the intuition, essence. Does that sound familiar? Isn't that like what we all do in life? We all grow up. We all have to go through things. But look at what messes up our lives all the time. It's not our rationally thought out intellectual thoughts that just so happen to have been mistaken by lacking a detail or so. That's usually not the michshol. How do we say michshol? Stumbling block. There we go. That's not usually the stumbling block that messes us up. What messes us up on a day-to-day basis is we get pissed off, we get angry, we do this, we follow our emotions without the benefit of intellect, of intuition. How many of us get in trouble because, I've heard this a million times, I knew better inside, but I didn't listen to myself. Well, why not? Oh, because of this or that, distractions. In Hebrew, we call those klipot. So you see, the whole purpose of our humanity, the whole purpose of life, the universe, everything. Yeah, we can play a joke with Douglas Adams in Hitchhiker's Guide and say 42, but even that has a secret in the Kabbalah. But another thing is to achieve the fulfillment of the role of the 10 Sefirot within Zeir Anpin, which literally means we have to develop the higher consciousness. We have to stop ourselves from disconnect, wherein which emotions and the higher cerebral functions are disconnected. That disconnection is called the tree of knowledge, good and evil. Because if you remember, when you are emotional, you want to acquire knowledge. But knowledge could be either good or bad. It all depends what you do with it. Fire. Fire exists. I can use fire to warm my house, cook my food, or burn you out. Right? Knowledge gives me the power to use fire. And we can apply that within every single technological existence at all. Can you imagine that the coronavirus exists for a positive reason? I don't know what that positive reason could be, but it has to have both good and bad in it, just like everything else does. This is one of the great secrets that's taught later in our Sefer Yetzirah. And we learn ways to manipulate through mind and consciousness, which is called the restructuring of letters. And we can take even the worst of things, called a nega, which is like a plague, and rearrange the letters to oneg, which is a pleasure. How do we do that? Stay tuned to future lessons. Okay, that's very deep stuff, meditation stuff, power of mind stuff. And if we can transform the higher realm, we can work to materialize it in the lower realm. So we need to understand and apply. It's an understanding of all this biblical symbolic metaphors from Genesis on, symbolic metaphors of the Kabbalah, of Chaim Vital, recognizing we're not dealing with outside, literal, historical, stuff, but internal, psychological, transformational stuff. The famous father of analytical psychology, Carl Jung, he understood this. Many people wrongly and falsely accused Professor Jung of being anti-Semitic. He wasn't, come on. He was a profound student of our Kabbalah. And when he studied Kabbalistic teachings, and he did, oh boy, did that open up his mind intensely. He once had a heart attack when he was older, and even had an out-of-body experience where Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, the famous, legendary author of the Zohar, comes and greets him and teaches him Kabbalah. I know rabbis who would want to have a heart attack to have an experience like that. Understand now, everything revolves around the giving of Zeir Anpin, his mochin. The symbolic means evolving our minds to overcome the out-of-control emotions. Now, we do not, no, we do not become stoic. We do not get rid of emotions at all. We are, by nature, naturally, intensely emotional human beings. And we should be. That's normal. That's good. That's a blessing. But your emotions, remember we said they're always out of control because we have the 6 Sefirot. It's like the waves of the ocean. Well, it's nice to have some nice waves by the shore, but you don't want hurricane, gale wind storms that blow everything over. That's what our emotions are like when they're out of control. So the whole purpose of Kabbalah is to learn to bring down the mochin, to bring into our emotional experience the revelations and insights of Ima, right? Ima is the intellect. But the intellect is barren unless there is the input. And this is why we use that sexual language. Input. You know what I'm talking about when it speaks about the seed penetrating from Abba. Now, sex, holy good thing. You should, in a proper, holy, sanctified marriage, you should be as wild and woolly and graphic however you want to be. God bless. You'll find that's actually rather healthy and good. Because like Rabbi Chaim said, the lower world is a reflection of the upper world. The nature of energy, sexual energy, chi, nefesh, orgon, prana, kundalini, it's all one and the same. Energy is energy. And we use it not just to expel out of our physical bodies, but to use it to ascend. And the intellect then travels into this place of the intuition. And that merging between intellect and intuition is an intensely passionate internal experience. Yes, it's like having an internal orgasm. That's the language that they use, and that's the language that I'll teach it to you in. This is our tikkun, and how eventually when we accomplish this as a race, we'll bring Mashiach, whatever that means. Evolving our minds. That the intuition merges with the intellect to bring a rational, coherent, and internally conviction of knowing the right way, which brings peace, balance, and harmony to our emotions, which then guides us in the proper course of action. Especially in these times of crisis, when there is such a spirit of panic. This is what we need more than anything else. Maybe that's why we have this virus, so that we rise up to the occasion and do what needs to be done. Contemplate this as your lesson for today and see how you can transform yourselves and bring the mochin into Z.A into you. And then you will know the Father, Abba, the source. And who knows where this will lead. Take a look at the courses I have online. The Otzrot Chaim, if you're interested in the Ariel, I have a course on all the 8 gates of Chaim Vital. Big, long course. Covers everything. Go check it out and see if it's for you. Ariel Bar Tzadok here. KosherTorah School, found online at KosherTorah.com. I'll see you all in the next class. Shalom.